Good evening, and welcome to the Miracle of Prosperity. I'm Reverend Jim Webb, Senior Minister of the Tacoma Metaphysical Chapel in Silver Spring, Maryland, and author of the book, The Soul of Prosperity. And I'm so glad you're with us tonight. I want to begin with a different question tonight. What if there was one mind? And in this one mind existed every probability and every possibility imaginable. And what if every possibility and every probability had a certain potential and we could choose, like from a Chinese menu, whatever probabilities or possibilities we wanted to take form? Well, if we could, my question to you would be, what types of prosperity would you support and create? Would you create professional prosperity? Where, in the words of Florence Scovel Shinn, you have a wonderful job with wonderful pay, where you provide a wonderful service in a wonderful way? Would you create relationship prosperity, where you have a sense of peace and acceptance of yourself so that you have inner harmony, and that inner harmony is then reflected in your relationships with others? For where there is no conflict within you, there can be no conflict outside of you. Would you choose logistical prosperity, where you know yourself to be deserving of ease and grace, and to move through life with ease and grace, and therefore to choose a life that was devoid of the struggles and the challenges and the issues that sometimes bog us down? Would you choose financial prosperity, where your finances were a source of joy and flow and no longer a source of worry or concern? If we could choose the probabilities and the possibilities of the wide array, then why wouldn't we choose the probabilities and the possibilities that are aspects of our highest potential for prosperity? So that's what we're going to talk about tonight: maximizing your potential for prosperity. Maximizing your potential for prosperity. And we're going to talk about that with someone who has studied for decades in maximizing our spiritual growth and development, maximizing our awareness of all the different realms of the spiritual realm, and doing so while we are incarnate, bringing higher levels of consciousness to us while we're here, because the higher our consciousness, the more powerful our ability to choose and create the possibilities for prosperity that we desire. So our guest tonight is Dimitri Moraitis. Dimitri is the co-founder of, and this is where I get into trouble trying to read the back of books without my glasses. Dimitri is the co-founder of the Spiritual Arts Institute in San Diego, California. He is an accomplished metaphysical teacher, and he's lectured across the country and appeared on numerous radio shows and media outlets regarding maximizing your ability to connect with the higher realms and bring the power of that connection to you here and now. And that spiritual growth and making that spiritual connection is synonymous with cultivating your prosperity consciousness. So we're glad to have you, Dimitri. Welcome tonight.
Well, thank you so much for having me on your show.
It's such a pleasure. And for those of you who may not realize it, the book that I'm reading, that I'm working with, is Heaven and Your Spiritual Evolution. However, Dimitri and Barbara have done a number of books, including Change Your Aura, Change Your Life, Communing with the Divine, Karma and Reincarnation. and the healing power of your aura. So Dimitri is an accomplished spiritual teacher, and the Spiritual Arts Institute helps people to grow spiritually. We're
Yeah.
glad you're here, Dimitri. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
I think we're gonna have fun tonight.
Yes, yes. We had fun. We had fun in the pre-party, and we'll
Yeah,
have
we
fun in
did.
the after-party.
Yeah.
Now, you gave a wonderful description of this book, Heaven and Your Spiritual Evolution, and you described it as a way to increase our awareness of the higher realms and to bring that awareness into our experience now. Can you tell me more about the essence of what this book is
Sure,
about?
sure. First of all, I want to say I co-wrote it with Barbara Y. Martin. I've worked
Yes,
with her for, I don't know if I want to say how many decades, but a long time.
yes,
And she's an amazing clairvoyant, a mystic teacher. And a lot of
yes,
this book is based on her actual clairvoyant experiences. Uh,
yes.
it's trying to define for people on this. We always say, oh, I'm on a spiritual path. I want to grow spiritually. Well, what does that mean? You know, we know what it means to grow like from a child to an adult. We see the physical changes in the body, but what does it mean for the soul to grow? And we try to outline that in the book, that it's unfolding all the soul's potential, all that it's capable of becoming. And it does that by growing through these various dimensions of life. And it
Mhm.
doesn't just do it on the other side when, let's say, it's our time to go home. We're doing it right now. You know,
Yes,
we hear this, leave the world better than the way you found it. And of course, we want to
yes,
do that. But you
yeah,
also want to leave the world in a higher level of consciousness than when you started. And that you
yeah.
have to go through your own efforts and your own work and put it. So we hope people, I'm sure many of the people listening tonight or watching tonight have had their spiritual awakening. And now it's like, okay, what can I do to make this a higher priority in my life? It's God knocking on your door. That's not accidental that you had that calling. But the
Mhm.
question is, are you answering the call? And are you doing all you can to unfold the potential that's in you? Many times we do, I don't want to say shortchange ourselves, but we underestimate our potential, what we're really
Mhm.
capable of. Joel Goldsmith, the great healer, used to say we draw chalk marks around ourselves and we say,
Mm.
I can't go any further than this. And then we
Yes.
don't,
Mhm.
but it's just a chalk mark. We put it there.
Yes. Yes. And I want to relate that to a lesson in A Course in Miracles, because
Yeah.
one of the things we do here is we bring the teachings of A Course in Miracles in life. And there is a lesson in the Course in Miracles. And the first one who goes onto Google and Google's A Course in Miracles, I will not limit the Holy Son of God, will get a free download of one of my books.
Oh my
So
goodness.
whichever guest does that will get a free download of one of my books. But there's a lesson. I will not place limits on the Holy Son of God. And that it says exactly what you are saying, that we are divine, and within us exists every potential, every probability, every power, every piece of wisdom. And we limit ourselves by what we think we know in our ego, when in truth, when we tap into that higher power, we have access to all the light, all the love, all the wisdom, all the knowledge, and all the perspective. And Ernest Holmes said it best when he said, he said, nobody ever whispered anything in my ear that can't be whispered into yours, and
Mhm.
nothing ever came out of my mouth that can't come out of yours.
There
And
you go.
Jesus said it too when he
Right.
said, these
Right.
things I do, ye shall do greater things.
Yeah.
So I love how you emphasize that.
Right,
Go
right.
ahead.
The great souls are examples of what we can do. Some people get jealous of people who have great talents or great this. Don't do that. Just see that as a potential for what you yourself can do if you apply yourself. You have to
Yes.
apply. It's like if I'm going to get good at the piano, I can't just say, "Oh, I want to be good at the piano." That's the start, but you got to put in the time and the energy and the effort. And working with Barbara, one of the things she has said through the years, many times people don't succeed, and she was speaking specifically about career, is they quit too soon. You know,
Hmm.
they try it for a little while. Oh, it didn't work out like, right away. And maybe I thought it wasn't meant to happen. No, it just meant you hadn't finished the journey yet. You have to stick with it. You know,
Yes. And the way that I love understanding this is Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth led led the baseball leagues in home runs for decades and
Yeah, yeah,
decades.
yeah.
But what is a well-kept secret is that he also led in strikeouts. And you know why?
Oh, I didn't know
Because he
that
kept,
part.
yeah, yeah, because he kept swinging the bat. And
Right,
every time he would swing the bat, his body and his mind would collect data, because the mind is basically a data collection tool and a
right,
data integration tool and a data management tool, just like a Cray supercomputer, right? So
right.
every time he would swing the bat, his mind would collect data. This is the stance that I used. This was the speed of the ball. This was the trajectory of the ball. This was the spin of the ball. These are the muscles I engaged. This is the degree to which I engaged those muscles. So he was building a super formula for how to hit a home run by gathering all that data. In order to hit a home run, this is how I must stand. In order to hit a home run, this is how I must grip the bat, and this is the strength with which I must grip the bat. In order to hit a home run, when the ball is coming at me at this speed and with this trajectory and with this spin, this is when I must swing, and this is how I must swing. And when he collected all that data, he was then an expert in hitting a home run. But he collected all that data by swinging the bat, right?
In a live game. So that
Yes,
means that you gotta take chances, and you're
yes,
not always gonna hit a home run every time you swing that bat, and don't worry about that.
yes.
I had a friend of mine, she wanted to be a stand-up comedian, she was working with an expert, and he said, "If you're not willing to get on that stage and bomb
Flop.
30 live 30 times in a row, you don't even belong in this business."
Yes.
Even Jim Carrey said that. He used to open for Rodney Dangerfield, the Godfather
Mm.
of comedy, right? And he said,
Hmm.
every night I bombed, I was not
Mm.
connecting with the students, but Rodney was laughing in the wings. So I knew I was doing something right. I just hadn't figured out how to make the connection. Of course, we all know he did it brilliantly when
Yes, he did. And some of his funniest work was when he got a start on Living Color.
yeah.
You knew then that he was a comedy genius.
Oh my God. Oh my
You
God. Yeah.
knew then that he was a
But
comedy
he did
genius.
say I was an overnight sensation that was 15 years in the making.
15 years in the making, as
Yeah.
most overnight sensations are.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, for our purposes,
Mhm.
your book helps us to develop the discipline, the focus, the willingness, the will, and the power to
Yeah.
grow
Right.
spiritually. And my premise is that our spiritual growth and the growth of our prosperity consciousness are one. For as we grow in our awareness of the higher realms or vibratory rates, we grow in our ability to access the higher information, the higher vibratory rates, and the higher power of the creative potentials to
You're getting
manifest
closer to the
our goals.
source. You're getting as you get
Yes.
closer to the source, you get more. Again, it's like the better you get at something, more has come to you, more like exactly like you're saying, because you are now at that place to be able to contain it. So,
Yes.
I just watched the Fablemans, the Spielberg movie, which is actually a
Hmm.
very good movie, but
Hmm.
I didn't realize he started filmmaking so young. You know,
Yes.
known to be one of the youngest directors in TV, right?
Hmm.
22, directing Joan Crawford. She turned,
Yes.
"He's gonna direct me," but he was
Yes.
already a veteran. It
Hmm.
wasn't just he walked there and says, "Oh, I want to direct the movie." He had already been doing it so long and he was so focused and so dedicated that, yeah, for
Yes.
him, it started early. But of course,
Hmm.
age is a factor here. I love that Manly Hall, one of the great spiritual philosophers of the 20th century, he said,
Hmm.
as we get older, we tend to think of our life as a law of diminishing return, meaning we think,
Mm.
oh, I'm too old to start this. You know how much money it's going to cost to do that? Don't put those barriers in front of you. If you feel
Yes.
driven to do something, do it.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. Exactly. So one of the parts of your book that I absolutely love is the what you said, the 10 keys to success in your spiritual growth. And the reason that I love bringing these out is because these are also the 10 keys for success in developing a prosperity consciousness.
Oh, wonderful.
And
Wonderful.
I'm going to just pick them off, and I'm
Okay,
going to ask you to comment on whichever one
sure.
speaks to you.
Well, they're all
Imagination.
great. They're all great. Yeah.
Ima-
Well, let's
yes.
start right there because
Okay.
this is something that I don't say, you know what, we've done a lot of teaching with a lot of students, and
Hmm.
it still amazes me how many times people don't even allow themselves to imagine the possibility, let alone go out and even try to do it. If you're
Yes.
not even seeing it in your mind, how can you make it a reality?
Exactly.
Right?
And
Even
and this goes back to what you were talking about before, and chalking our building a chalk mark around ourselves or limiting the holy beloved of God. Because God, the infinite intelligence of which we are a part, includes infinite probabilities and infinite possibilities. So why would we limit ourselves to that finite set of things that we can see when there's so much more? Because God can
right.
see around the corners that we can't. When there's so much more that God has in store for
Well, now
us
you hit
if we just
another
open our
important
minds.
thing. We don't see everything all at once. God does,
Right.
but not us.
Yes.
But
Yes.
for
And
there,
that's why we
there
have
has to
to
be a little
open.
right? A little trust that
Yes.
okay, I can't see Jim around every corner right now
Hmm.
because some people will tell me, "Oh God, tell me what to do. I want to connect all the dots, show me the whole picture, and then I'll
Hmm.
do it." No,
And
you
God said in Philippians, He said, if you knew the whole extent of the journey, you wouldn't even take the first step. Just like Lao Tzu said, how every journey consists of the first step. And so our task, and I love that this developing the spiritual discipline helps us to build that trust with God.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But you have to understand that you're not going to always be in control of everything. You can
Mm,
only handle your part of the puzzle. You can't
yes.
control everything that's going on around you, but you are in 100% control of how you're dealing with it, no matter
Mm.
how severe the situation. There's that famous story of that gentleman that was incarcerated in North Korea. Not a
Uh-huh.
happy place to be put in a jail, right? And
Right.
they had him in a cell where he couldn't really sit. They were kind of
Hmm.
torturing him, right? And if he
Yes.
tried to sit, they would beat him. Well,
Hmm.
he got into some type of prayer, right? And he said,
Hmm.
I literally felt like I saw like a golden light and like an
Hmm.
angel was holding my hand. And the guy
Mm.
by and saw him
Hmm.
smiling. I mean, he was supposed to be being tortured, right? And here he is
Yes.
smiling and they're saying, this isn't working.
Right.
So if you can
Yes.
be in a situation like that and hold your
Hmm.
strength, there's
Hmm.
nothing we can't be strong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that tracks with a lesson in A Course in Miracles, lesson 38. In my holiness, there is nothing I cannot do. Because what you just said is this fellow was in his holiness, regardless of his outer circumstances,
Right,
probably
right,
some of the worst circumstances imaginable.
right,
But his outer state didn't matter. His inner state trumped his outer state
right.
because he had developed the power to manage his inner state. And that's what your book talks about. It talks about how you have to have the imagination to see past your limits, an intense spiritual desire. You have to want to grow spiritually more than you want to stew in
Yeah.
the discontent of the moment.
And that's the other
Uh,
thing we ask our students. Okay, you may obviously you have a desire for this work,
mhm.
but do you have a desire or a burning desire?
Mm,
Because in any field of endeavor, you know there are people that is their number one priority. And
yes.
if you're not making it a burning desire, how, in a sense, are you going to be able to compete with others who are? Now,
Right.
some may say, well, I have a desire for this, but I'll be honest with you, it's not burning. Well,
Mhm.
then take the desire. It's like, well, notice the word where you burn fire, a flame can become a fire. So
Cultivate it.
yeah, exactly. Cultivate what you have, and it will grow more and more and more. The gentleman that wrote that book, "What Color's Your Parachute?" You know about
Yes.
your career. I mean, it went like
Yes.
78.
Bowles, Donald Bowles.
Yeah, I love the part
Yes.
where he said, "Whatever you think you want to do, you better be spending like 46 hours a day doing it, even if you're not getting paid for it, because you
Mhm.
better believe somebody else is doing exactly the same thing."
Yes, it's
Yeah,
true. It's
yeah,
true.
yeah.
And whatever you do, when you love it, you do it, you do it, you do it, it will yield the results. Jan Van Zant says, money is my own natural energy yield. And the operative word there is yield. You will yield what you cultivate. And as you cultivate the spiritual consciousness, it will yield the dividends that you desire. It will yield peace. It will yield joy. It will yield the energy and the power to allow your good to take form. Now,
And
one of the other ones that,
also, just to interject there for a moment, that
Mhm.
also reveals when you really are on the right road. Because
Yes.
let's say, no, I haven't seen the results I want yet. I haven't, okay, but if you're feeling that inner sense of joy and drive, then you
Mhm.
know you're in the right direction. You just haven't gotten there yet. So you
Yes, keep going.
can't ask the rose to, if you plant the seeds and all that, you can't say, okay, I gave you everything. Where's the bloom? Where's the rose tree? No, you got to give it time to grow.
Yes. Yes. And
And you have
that's
to,
where perseverance comes in.
yeah,
Yes, and that's where number 5, perseverance comes in.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you know which other one I love of these steps, Dimitri?
Mhm.
I love enthusiasm.
Yeah.
That's one of the steps as well. And you know why I love that? I love that for some obscure reasons, as well as the ones that you give here in the book, because I'm a word guy, right? I like the source of words.
Mm.
And enthusiasm came from in theos, the
Oh.
God within. That's where
Oh, wow.
enthusiasm,
That's
yeah,
interesting. That's
in
interesting.
theos, theology, the God within.
And Theo,
Enthusiasm is, go ahead, I'm sorry.
no, it's I didn't understand. I didn't know the etymology of that word. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
enthusiasm, the God within. So when you are enthusiastic, that burning bush within you is shining up, and that will fuel you. I'm at like people when I was in business, and they would get these emails from me at 2 or 3 in the morning. They thought I was an insomniac. No, I wanted to get stuff done, so I'd get it done and get it done and get it done and get it done, and I didn't go to sleep until it was done. And
Yeah.
people were just amazed. And that was enthusiasm, the God within me, that burning bush within, causing me to do more and more and more and more and more.
So you were
And that is
doing
important
what
for
you
all of
wanted,
us.
you needed to be doing, and also it helps you when let's face it, they're naysayers, right? Like
Yes.
saying, Jim, why are you working so late? God, you just go to sleep for God's sakes. And
Hmm.
this keeps you going, even if there are those that want to kind of puncture your your balloon a little bit.
Yes.
There was a gentleman, a great story. He was homeless on the street, right? And he
Hmm.
decided I've had enough of this, and he
Hmm.
somehow was able to take an accounting correspondence course. He eventually
Hmm.
passed it, got a job, got off the street,
Hmm.
reunited with family members that thought he had died or disappeared, and they
Hmm.
asked what was the hardest part of the whole thing. Well, not believing the naysayers around him is probably homeless cronies that said, "What are you doing? You'll never make that happen," because
Hmm.
he had to study on park benches. But he
Yes.
didn't let that interfere with the picture he had in his mind of what he wanted to
Hmm.
do.
Yes. Keep counsel with God and not man. Amen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so what we are just discovering are some of the tools that are necessary to build a strong spiritual consciousness.
Mhm.
And those tools that are useful for building a strong spiritual consciousness are the tools useful for building a strong prosperity consciousness as well. For the two are one. Now, some of our guests, some of our listeners and viewers may have some questions on this. So, in a moment, we're going to go to break and give you an opportunity to ask your questions of Dimitri Moraitis. And we're going to come back and learn how to use these tools practically. But in the meantime, get your questions, type them in the dialog box, and we're going to go to break here on the New Thought Media Network.
Have you heard the big news? CSL Denver is growing. Join us, in person or online, every Sunday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. In-person services are held at 612 South Grant Street, Denver, Colorado. Or join us online at www.csldenver.org. Center for Spiritual Living Denver. You are welcome here.
And we're back here on the New Thought Media Network on the Miracle of Prosperity. And I have with me Dimitri Moraitis, co-author of the book Heaven and Your Spiritual Evolution, as well as other books such as Change Your Aura, Change Your Life. Now, one of the things we've been discussing are the keys to success in your spiritual growth, which are actually the keys to success in manifesting the prosperity that you desire. And the essence of it, because I thought about this during the break, the essence of it is you must live your vision. You said that in not so many words because that's incorporated in the 10 keys that you mentioned. You must live your vision. Do not let anything distract you. Do not let anything dissuade you. Do not let anything discourage you. If it is your vision, it must be your priority. Place your time, your energy, and your resources there. And that was a brilliant takeaway from these 10 keys. And then I realized, that can apply to your prosperity consciousness and anything that you choose to allow in your life as a result of your prosperity consciousness. You must live that vision. So right now we're doing these things called vision boards. Have you ever heard of those, Dimitri?
Oh, absolutely. We've done them. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're doing these things called vision boards. And I actually wrote a book called Creating Your Self-Manifesting Vision Board. And one of the things that we talk about is how you must integrate that vision into every aspect of your life. Take a picture of it and carry it on your phone so that when you need to look at your vision board on your phone, you can meditate with it so you can integrate with its energy and allow its energy to integrate with you. Create a soundtrack for it. What songs does this bring to mind? And listen to those songs because those songs are vibrationally compatible with the vision, and merge a number of different manifestation techniques with your vision board. In other words, live your vision and your vision will live in you, and whatever vision lives within you will manifest outside of you. And so that tracks with these 10 steps, and I'm so glad to have you to discuss this. Now, Dimitri, there's one other thing that you shared there's a lot that you shared that was intriguing to me, but I think our guests would get a lot of value on the color and auric experience of prosperity. And one of the things you mentioned was just so powerful. Can you tell us about the color of prosperity?
Yes. Well, in the book, we do say that the fuel of our evolution is the divine light.
Yes.
And of course, we all know about the white light, but
Yes.
actually there are many spectral colors that God brings down, because each, shall we say, spiritual color brings in a different attribute of the divine life.
Yes.
Now, Barbara is one of the world's leading experts on the aura. And she
Yes.
was saying, I started seeing it at age 3, and I would see these colors around people and energies, but I couldn't interpret it. I didn't understand, what does the blue, what does the green, what does the yellow, and why is it there and not here? And what happens when it's in these different positions and different formations? And as young as 11 years old, she met a hermetic scientist that literally could see the aura too, and taught her these things, the interpretation. And one of them was the interpretation of prosperity in the aura. So believe it or not, if you are in that prosperity consciousness, meaning everything that you're saying, Jim, you think in terms of, you don't put parameters on yourself, you think in terms of wealth. And I loved what you said at the beginning. It's not just about money. Money is certainly one of the manifestations of wealth, but you want, a prosperity of health, a prosperity of friendships, ideas. It's more than just material wealth. If you have that mindset and that consciousness, you will have a very brilliant turquoise ray light in your field. And I have to tell a nice story here. So we do work with the chakras. We call them energy centers. And this heart one here has a lot to do with your world affairs. The things you're putting out in your life is going to make an energetic connection right here. And when I met Barbara, I was still in the movie business. I segued out of it, but it's I won't say it's a feast or famine, but there are times when you're working all the time, and other times you're not working at all, right? It goes extreme. And I was in one of those moments of not working, right? And one day, in her usual casual way, she looked at this heart center and said, "Boy, I see this beautiful turquoise light coming out of you." And again, at that moment, it was this in-between state. But 2 weeks later, I got the most lucrative job offer in the film business I had gotten up to that point. It was already in my aura. One of the reason we call the book Change Your Aura, Change Your Life is energetically, you need to manifest anything. You need the power to do that.
Yes.
Power has to be in your aura first to show up in your life. So if you don't have, let's take money, prosperity for a moment. We think, oh, it's how much I have in my bank. No, if you have the awareness of how to manifest, you will bring what you need when you need it. But if you're not seeing it, and you're saying, oh boy, that person's doing so well, money, and why am I having so many troubles? You just got to build that power. You just got to do the things you need to do, and you will make it. One of our associates years ago, she said, she became an expert in prosperity. She said, you know how I learned this? I went bankrupt. I made every mistake in the book when it came to money. I did not know how to handle it well. I lost everything, literally everything. And I will never be in this position again. She learned law, she learned what to do, and she got so good at it, she became a teacher for other people. And that's when we met her. She was already a very successful thing, but in her case, she had to sort of hit rock bottom to wake her up. But you don't have to hit rock bottom to wake up. You can move now before you hit, shall we say, you get your up against the wall. Now, the other thing I would encourage, and perhaps one of the takeaways for people, first of all, the vision board is fantastic. If you're not seeing kind of the end result of what you want, for example, even if it's as simple as, oh, I want to drop 10 pounds of, I'm a little overweight. That's not what you're visualizing. You're visualizing yourself at your ideal weight. Not the process of getting there, the result of what you want. So that's crucial. The other thing I would encourage people to do is literally meditate with the turquoise ray. You can even do what we call reflective meditation. See yourself in a waterfall of this energy and feel what it just, regardless of what's going on around you, whether you have a penny in the bank, feel yourself as like a mighty spiritual monarch, and you can buy anything. Get energy inside of you and then nurture it. Don't, if you light the fire, don't blow it out an hour later, keep it going, and it will, even if you didn't say, oh, I did the meditation, I don't see the $1 million in my bank right now. No, keep the energy moving and it will turn around. And that is, by the way, as you know, a divine law. If it's in your, it will show up in your life.
It has no choice but to show up in your life if it lives within you and you
Right.
nurture it and cultivate it within you.
That's the
And one of the things that we
part. Are
do
you
is,
nurturing and cultivating it? Don't snuff it out. Keep it
yes,
going. Yeah.
yes. And one of the things that we do that I emphasize in my book, Create a Self-Fulfilling Vision Board, Self-Manifesting Vision Board, is you just gave us another tool, the turquoise light, but we bring the light of the Holy Spirit, the light of the highest realm to us and through us, and then we focus it on the vision board. And
Very
then once we focus that light on the vision board, we take that vision board and we animate it, meaning that we look at that vision board and we imagine, what would I look like on that vision board? Like if I were a little cartoon and I was in that vision, what would it
Mhm.
look like? What would it feel like? What would the energy of that be? And then an amazing thing happens. The vision board starts talking to us, meaning we animate the vision board and that vision becomes alive. And that vision board says, this is the area that you want to focus on. Or the vision board says, swap these two things. Or the vision board says, focus on this first, and then this will happen. And that energy exchange, that energetic exchange cultivates the creation of the energy of that vision that enables it to come alive. And that has been fascinating. And some of the people who have taken the course or read the book have had some fascinating results. And you just gave us another tool, which is
Turquoise ray. Yeah.
turquoise ray. Just focus on that turquoise ray. And you know what else that tracks with that I just absolutely adore you for? It tracks with the idea, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven. Know ye not that the kingdom of
Right.
heaven lives within
Right.
you? And when you
Right.
cultivate it within, it has no choice but to manifest outside of you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, so what other ways can we use this turquoise ray, Dimitri?
Well, again, anytime you sense, you know, when you get in a consciousness of lack or limitation,
Uh-huh.
anytime you find yourself saying, maybe this was a dumb idea after all, because again, the little gremlins are going to get in. But also, I do like what you said, that it doesn't mean you're not inflexible. You may start in a certain journey, but yes, you do have to make a right turn here or a left turn there. So you've got to be open to new
Mhm.
ideas coming in, but then
Yes.
you've also got to stay with it.
Mhm.
Thomas Troward, one of the great of all the mental scientists, he said, in the 1800s, the will is the stabilizer of thought, meaning you get a great idea, but you've got to be able to hold that idea in place until it actually becomes a reality. Steve Jobs
Yes.
put it another way when he said, I have to say no 1,000 times to the one thing I have to say yes to. And especially today, we're so bombarded with things. I just heard right now the attention level for online videos is 6 seconds. You have to grab somebody in 6 seconds.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
that means we're so bombarded with things right now. It can
Yes.
be distracting. And, do things that are essential to you. Okay, yes, 100 places I want to go before I die. The thing
Mhm.
there, but you won't be able to taste every wine in the world. So you
Mhm.
have to make a decision. This is a nice thing to do, but this I have to do. So let's say if you were to label the list 3 things, and those
Mhm.
3 things, let's say in this next year, you had to get done or accomplish no matter what, even if there are 10 things you would like to get done,
Mhm.
those 3 things be? What would those 3 things beyond anything would be to keep your mind again focused on that energy?
Mhm.
And
Yes. Wonderful.
yeah,
Wonderful. Beautiful. Now, tell us a little bit more about the aura, because that seems to be in an area that
yeah,
is less fully explored. Tell us a little bit more about
yeah.
that.
Well, it's funny when we wrote the Change Your Aura, Change Your Life. Um, People had a very, I don't want to say cartoon image, but a very simplistic picture of the aura. Oh, I'm a green, you're a blue, she's a purple. The aura is this intricate manifestation. It's more complicated than your physical body.
Mhm.
And it is the energetic foundation of your soul.
Mm.
Everything you're thinking right now, everything you're feeling, everything you're doing, all of it is radiating energy
Mhm.
corresponding to that quality. And of course, it's changing, right? It's changing with you changing. A great example of this, a student of Barbara's, her son had trouble. He was only 11 years old, and he was very creative, and he wanted to do all these, creative things. His father said, "No, you're going to a military academy," and he didn't want to do it. And they were really butting heads, and really disturbing him. And I remember this 11-year-old kid is asking Barbara all these really astute metaphysical questions. And at one point she goes, "I see this really disturbed you." And he says, "How do you see it?" "Well, I'm looking here again at this heart center, the world affairs. There's this wonderful golden light coming out, which shows confidence, but the lines are broken. Like something very recently disturbed that confidence." And she's trying to get him to get his confidence back. Unfortunately, the father and him had a lot of tangles, a lot of troubles, and then the father died suddenly with unresolved feelings. He went through a tough time, but it's in the aura, it's in the aura. So whatever we think, oh, okay, I'm, no one knows how I'm really feeling right now. But yes, it's showing up in your auric field. So you're not really hiding anything. Again, the Bible says they shall be known from the rooftops, meaning who you are is visible spiritually. So if the things that aren't, so great, just take care of it. If you really are upset about something, that's vitiated red. One strong outburst of anger can linger in the aura for 2 weeks unattended. It's one strong outburst. So we have to realize we're, in a sense, a sea of energy that's moving and all these colors, this, that, and the other. And the more we are, like you're saying, bringing in the light, bringing in the Holy Spirit, you are essentially enlightening the aura. Aura and consciousness walk hand in hand. And the more light you bring in, higher in consciousness you climb, higher in consciousness, more light. Eventually you get the enlightened aura. You get the awakened self, where you have that God experience, where you do what Yogananda talked about, seeing God face to face while in a physical body. That's the enlightenment that we're all aiming to achieve. It's not an easy feat, but it's all within us to do it. And it's not just for, I'll see God when I die. No, you're meant to feel it here, whether it's this life or another life. That's another subject. We can talk about reincarnation.
I see you've got a book on that too. Yes. Yes. But I love that, because what that tells me is that each time we meditate, each time we bring in more light, we get more of a glimpse of God. We amass more of the power of light. And one of the aspects of light is its creative power. So when we amass the power of light, when we connect with God, and of course, in Miracles, lesson 103, 104 says, God being love is happiness. We connect with that energy and that vibration, and we attract that to us. And the more we can hold that vision, the more we can sustain that vision, the more we can protect and nurture that vision, the higher the likelihood that that vision will be made manifest. And it's just a matter of practicing the presence of the light of God.
Now we do add one thing in all our visualizations, always according to divine law and love, for the good of all concerned.
For the greatest good, yes.
So you want to do this. In other words, if I'm visioning, I'm going to get that job, even if everybody else has to die to get there. You're not trying to will this to happen.
Right.
Where, and people do that, by the way, right? And that's where they create misery because they see the target they want, and they don't care who they step on to get it. Here, you're talking about win-win. You're saying, I'm doing this in a way that is good for you and good for me and good for the universe.
Exactly. Order my steps so this is for the greatest good, for the greatest number. And one of the things that we do is we ask God first, so that it's not coming from our ego, so it's not coming from the unhealed part of us that sees lack and therefore sees everything as a 0 plus, I must win, so you must lose sort of proposition.
Right.
Where we get guidance from God so that we are working in our highest realm, as opposed to working from those unhealed, unmet needs. Because when we're working with that energy, we're going to tend to magnify that instead, right?
Well, you just hit on a whole other area, healing.
Yes.
You know, if we have been wounded in life, which we all are going to get, no one gets through life without some scars, right? That's
Yes.
we're here to forge our spiritual metal, and
Yes.
sometimes that's going to happen, that we're going to have rough experiences, but
Yes.
sometimes we do get wounded, and it's not just physical wounds, it's mental, emotional. So
Yes.
you do have to tend to that. If you notice, yes, you know, ever since I was a little kid, well, there's a great story actually in Change Your Aura. There was a gentleman that was a compulsive spender. He was
Mm-hmm.
always spending more than he had. He drove, you know, oh, I'm going to buy the boat, I'm going to buy that car, I'm going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And he almost lost his family. His wife says, I'm going to divorce you. I love you, but I can't stand this. And it
Mm-hmm.
turned out in consultation that when he was a kid, his parents kept saying, no, you can't have that. No, you can't have that. We can't afford that. No, you can't have that. And he got it in his mind, I'm going to make money and I'm going to get anything I want the moment I want it. But that was unbalanced. Once
Yes.
he realized that this was coming from a wounded area, he was
Yes.
able to heal it, and he stopped compulsive spending. His
Mm.
family got it, all bounced back. So yes, look, if there's a thorn here, I got to take it out. But
Right.
don't identify yourself as the wound. That's the point where people sometimes they think I am that injured person. It's just something you went through. It could have been a horrible thing, but you can heal that. There's no place God's light can't touch and transform.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say, one of those beautiful things of what we do is the healing work, because
Yes.
we all need it on some
Mm-hmm.
level at some point. And that's why when you see a repeated thing you're doing, you say, why do I keep shooting myself in the foot here? I'm hearing everything,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like you're saying, Jim, but I
Yes.
still keep screwing up. It's sometimes
Mm-hmm.
because, ouch, there's something here we got to just take care of.
Yes, exactly. And so what you're saying is so powerful, and that is one of the key aspects of creating a prosperity consciousness is healing that which is unlike a prosperity consciousness. In your story, the unmet needs of that man's inner child and the wounds of that inner child created an imbalance
Right,
that made it difficult to experience prosperity.
right,
So he had to go back and heal those wounds.
right.
In my book, The Miracle of Prosperity, I look at the saboteurs, silencing your saboteurs, the inner critic, the inner judge, the inner saint, the
That's
inner
a good
sinner,
expression.
the inner
Yeah,
child. And
yeah,
for these are the things that sabotage our prosperity. And many times, these aspects of our consciousness had their origin in our childhood.
yeah. You do want to look
So,
at your childhood. That you know, there's an expression: "Give me the first 7 years of a person's life, and you can have the rest." Interesting enough,
mm,
a lot of the basic. Of course, you can change things at any time in your life, but
yes.
basic behavior patterns are established
Mhm.
by age 7. So
Yes.
there's another takeaway. Look at
Mhm.
those early years of your life, and what was there something in there that was you think you may be
Injurious.
injurious? Yeah, yeah.
Yes, exactly. I'll share with you a funny story, Dimitri. When I was in MBA school and afterwards, and my cohorts from MBA school, we went to NYU's Graduate School of Business, which was down there
Oh,
on Wall Street, and many
yeah.
of us worked on Wall Street, and we were going to be captains of industry and all that stuff. I went to Wharton undergrad too, and so many of the people in Wharton were also there on Wall Street with me, and we were all going to run the world and be captains of industry. And so when they found out what I did as I evolved in life, they said, "Oh, so you're one of those people who has people talking to you. You teach people how to talk to baby dolls and cry,"
Oh my
because
God.
that they had this cartoonish image of
Right,
what healing the inner child was.
right,
But
right.
that healing, as Rumi says, everything already exists. All the love you want already exists. All the prosperity you want already exists. Your task is to dissolve the barriers to allowing them. And many of the wounds of the inner child and that consciousness create the barriers to our good. So healing, talking to baby dolls and crying is an integral part of developing a spiritual consciousness and a prosperity consciousness. For the two are one. So we're going to go to break with that. and we're going to come back with some latest updates and surprises here on the New Thought Media Network.
Choice, your creative superpower. We have the power to manifest as we dedicate attention to our thoughts, but often miss opportunity to achieve the greatest good. Your superpower is waiting to be unleashed to unlock a fuller, more rewarding world for all. Join us every Thursday at noon Mountain Time for Choice, your creative superpower with Zoe DeMuro. And now,
And we're back
Yeah.
here on the New Thought Media Network with Dimitri Moraitis. So, Dimitri, what are you working on these days?
Well, we're doing a lot of teaching right now. We're still promoting this new book, Change Your Healing. We've talked so much tonight, Heaven and Your Spiritual Evolution, but we have a 7 spiritual arts training program. It's a 2-year training program that gives you an opportunity to really dive into a lot of these things that we've been talking about tonight. Because one of the things we say about metaphysics is it's a little bit like learning to play the piano. You're not going to be expert in one weekend. You have to stay with it. And we have these wonderful classes been built up from, Barbara's 50 years of clairvoyant study and 40 years of my working with her. And they're very exciting programs. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. That sounds quite exciting. Now, how would one get more information on that, Dimitri?
Yes, our organization, our nonprofit is Spiritual Arts Institute, and the website is spiritualarts.org. We do online, we do in person. We actually have a center in San Diego area, in the Encinitas, North County area, but we've been doing web classes since 2006. So and they join from all over the world. We have a wonderful contingency even from Japan that's been taking classes. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That is wonderful. What a wonderful thing to be working on.
Yeah. Yeah. And what are you up to?
Oh, well, I've got the 2 new books, Create a Self-Manifesting Vision Board and Prosperity from A to Z. And these are actually supplements to my big book, The Soul of Prosperity. But what I'm working on these days are 2 new courses on manifestation. On March 20th, I begin a new course called Spirit Speaks More on Manifestation. One of the things we talked about before, Dimitri, was how as we continue to expand, we can access and hold more information. Well, Spirit is continually pouring new information into us on how we can manifest. And
Great.
so for 6 weeks, beginning on March 20th, we're doing Spirit Speaks More on manifestation. And then on Thursdays, we're doing merging multiple manifestation methods. Merging multiple manifestation methods. And this takes into account spiritual synergy. Spiritual synergy is 1 + 1 we think equals 2, but spiritual synergy is 1 + 1 can equal 100 when you merge different methods together in a way that is unique to your vibration for all optimal results. You can develop a melange of manifestation methods that can be absolutely effective for you. So we're going to learn how to merge multiple manifestation methods for 6 Thursdays, beginning on the 23rd of March. Now, these classes are open for now, but my classes do tend to sell out because we want to make sure that we can give everybody the attention that they need. So I urge people to sign up early rather than waiting till the last minute, because many people find that the classes get sold out. And so if you want to find out more about my classes and all my stuff, my website is www.revjimwebb.com. And I have a little tip for you. If you want inside information as well as a gift each week, go to that website and subscribe to it. For every week, I send people a gift. And many people have found these gifts that I send them to be life-changing. So that's what I'm up to these days, Dimitri.
All right. Keeping busy.
Yes. And I'm so glad that you've been here tonight. I thank you for your time and your energy. It's been such a pleasure.
Likewise.
And I want to thank all of our viewers as well for being with us tonight here on the New Thought Media Network.